Now, Parliament reconvened earlier this week, and oh, did they return with a bang. They really announced their presence, and after a long absence in recess, perhaps they had been taking cues from the reactions of Ghanaians to the current hardships they're experiencing and the loud calls for the main manager of Ghana's economy, Ken Ofori-Atta, to exit the stage for presiding over the dreadful state of affairs. Over time, the majority in Parliament has come to be seen as rubber stamps, easily malleable because they approve any and everything the executive wants them to. And so the first and second arms of the law are expected to be a check on each other. But we all know they don't. So it was unprecedented, refreshing, exciting even, when at least 85 majority NPP MPs decided to go against the grain and call for the dismissal of the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta. Many felt it was shocking, but it was bold that finally the majority MPs will openly fight the executive this way. But when people have had enough, they rebel, and that is what they did. They chose country over party.
We are by this medium communicating our strong desire that the President change the Minister of Finance and the Minister of State in the Finance Ministry without further delay in order to restore hope into the financial sector and reverse the downward trend in the growth of the economy.
Now, their action was welcomed by everyone, even their political opponents, the NDC, whose minority MPs followed on their heels with a motion of censure filed to officially get the finance minister removed from post.
First one is the fact that we are seeing a despicable conflict of interest, ensuring that he directly benefits from Ghana's economic woes as his companies receive commissions and other unethical contractual advantage.
And the calls for the minister to go keep getting louder. We've heard from economists and governance experts. Now, even statesmen like Kwame Pienim, who served in the MPP government, are also insisting that Ken Ofori-Atta should be dismissed.
I can go on to the team, close my eyes, and pick 10 people who do the job better than Ken Ofori-Atta is doing. What are we talking about? In my village, they will tell you, okay, homeless is wrong, no order.
So the cries are getting louder. Are all these people wrong? Is the president the only one who is right? The minister continues to stay in office because ostensibly he must be present to wrap up the IMF negotiations and prepare the budget. That is quite difficult to swallow, particularly because our sources in the IMF and elsewhere say that is laughable. Take Ken away from the talks and the budget preparation, and things will go on as normal. And that is why it was so disappointing to hear the majority MPs who declared Ken must go now acquiesce to the president's request that he be given more time. In any case, why wait to leave after wrapping up the negotiations and preparing the budget only for someone else to go and implement your proposals? Mr. Ofori-Atta, these calls for you to resign are not in a vacuum. You know why Ghanaians are baying for your blood. Let me jog your memory. You proposed the e-levy policy. Many kicked against it, insisting it will overburden Ghanaians. But you insisted that e-levy was the way to go. As predicted, it did not raise enough as projected. You gave a rousing speech insisting Ghana will never go to the IMF because we are a proud nation. You eloquently stated that we are not people of short sight.
But I think, as my colleague, Deputy Minister said, we are not going to the IMF. Whatever we do, we are not. The consequences are dire. We are a proud nation. We have the resources. We have the capacity. Don't let anybody tell you.
Unfortunately, you were compelled to eat back your words when the situation became so dire and the president announced that Ghana will seek help from the IMF. The reason why many called on you to resign was because you never wanted to deal with the IMF in the first place. And when you were called upon by the citizenry to step aside honorably, you refused to do so, saying asking you to resign is like telling a father to abandon his children.
That's not a very good question. You know, it's almost like telling a father to resign from his children because he's changed his mind. You know, there are times that decisions have to be made for the survival of a country.
Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta, when a father is unable to take care of his children, the state steps in and takes custody to give the children a better life. And that is the message your children have been telling you these last few months. Month by month, the country has sunk into a muck of economic quagmire. The cedi depreciation, hike in fuel prices, transportation costs has gone up, prices of food and services have gone up, and yet our father, who got us into this unprecedented debt and economic constriction, still wants to be in charge. The question many are asking is Ken Ofori-Atta the only person who can save Ghana?
Ghana for on Sisamu, Yera Mahama, I say I do not penny Ethiopia, yes, no, Ghana for Yera Koso Akasa,